ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Gauntlet, brought to you by Sideline Sports Network. I'm with Jay Nelson and Dom DeRubeis tonight. Hopefully Mr. Jenkins drops in a little bit later. But we got a lot of exciting stuff to talk about. 2 weeks into the NFL season. Bryce has been benched, so that's a big topic that we're going to discuss later tonight. Non-sports topic, reaction to P. Diddy and all the stuff surrounding him. He's been indicted. He's been arrested. There's a lot of things to talk about with all the drama with that. And then, of course, Gauntlet Grinders and Sports Morons. So real excited to sit it down with you guys all here tonight. What's up? How we feeling tonight?
Why you gotta put our government names on blast like that, Brett?
It's okay. Sorry, I meant to say Sean Combs, not P. Diddy. Sorry.
Hey James, just a little quiet, man. Kick that music up.
All right, so Dom, I think we had a topic that was really requested by you. Can you tell me what it was again, as far as the 2-0 teams?
Yes. Just wanted everyone's brief takes on one or two, no more than two of each. Most surprising 2-0 teams, most surprising 0-2 teams. Shall I begin?
Yeah, you can go first. It's your topic.
2-0 teams. I'm going Steelers and Vikings, although I may want to remove Vikings from that list. But first, let's get to the Steelers. They have scored one touchdown in 2 games. They have 2 quarterbacks, which means they have no quarterbacks. As of right now, they're starting Chicago cast-off Justin Fields, who has played, I'll give him his credit, he has played less terrible with the Steelers than he has in Chicago. I do not believe he has turned the ball over yet, which I don't think he's had a 2-game span in his career of turnoverless football. So that's commendable in a way. And then also the Vikings, although I don't really give them any credit for that Week 1 victory against the North Carolina A&T, what are they, the Miners? Whatever that team in Carolina with their blue color and their midget quarterback who has since been benched for an ancient beige water pistol. But they're 2-0, they're in first place, and who amongst us would have said after 2 weeks that the Vikings would be on top by themselves in the NFC North? 0-2 teams. The only one that really sticks out to me is the Ravens. There's a few other 0-2 teams. Oh, also the Bengals. Ravens, let's get to first. Can't blame them for, losing a close game to Kansas City Week 1. Lamar Jackson did everything that he possibly could and missed it by a toe. But then when you go and lose to the Raiders, I kind of forgot that the Raiders were even a current NFL franchise anymore. And then I was like, oh my God, they beat the Ravens. Well, shout out to Gardner Minshew. What do you guys got?
Surprising 2-0 teams, of course, the Vikings. They lost J.J. McCarthy for the year. It's anyone's guess how he would have turned out. But especially after losing Kirk Cousins, and then you got Sam Darnold, who's become, the new. I guess he's the new Ryan Fitzpatrick. I guess we could say.
Did I not say Sam Darnold Resurrection Season Tour? Did I not?
No. You called it. You definitely called it, and especially after
It's still 15 weeks for him to make me look like a complete moron.
Let's wait until after the season to call it Resurrection or not. But he's off to a good start.
He's off to a good start. Yeah, agreed. And I know they lost Dalvin Cook, probably not a big loss or anything like that. But no, they've been playing solid ball. They lost Daniel Hunter, and it's like they picked up where they left off. But that's a surprising 2-0 team. Another surprising 2-0 team, some may disagree, but I'm going to say the Saints. I expect them to drop a game by now. I thought they'd be 1-1. But they are a much better team than advertised, and the Buccaneers have definitely, but then again, let's face it, for the last couple of years, it's kind of been Buck Saints, if Cousins gets his act together, that could be a 3-team division here in a bit. But shout out to the Saints. Surprising 0-2 team, I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts. You lose to the Texans division rivalry game, okay, that's what's up. But you have got to beat the Packers. I'm sorry. No Jordan Love. You got to beat the Packers. And then the way you lost, and you lost by 6 points, As of now, I'm considering that a bad loss. Not nothing against Green Bay or anything like that, but they lost their starter who had just signed that extension, who a lot of people have in circles to win a few awards this year, Colts. And then yeah, and then also the Ravens, of course. Lose to Kansas City, okay, good loss. But I agree with Dom. You gotta capitalize on the Raiders. The Raiders were supposed to be your bounce back game, and instead it turned out to be a trap game because now you have to travel to Arlington, who I called on the pick show for the Cowboys to beat the Ravens. So the Ravens very well could be 0-3 by this time next Friday. James, what you got?
Man, it's a pivotal game for the Ravens, too, and for the Cowboys, because I think the Cowboys, both of these teams has a tough stretch even after this week coming up on the schedule, so it's kind of like both teams need to win. But obviously the Ravens are in the conversation for the most surprising 0-2 team. The Bengals are obviously another one. I think that it's been a little more surprising than the Ravens. I think the Ravens are a good football team, but they've just been on the wrong side of stuff.
Right.
Got really unlucky against the Chiefs. I mean, the guys, Isaiah Likely, his toe is. It kind of reminds me of Kevin Durant in the playoffs against the Bucks, where his foot is barely on the line for the game-winning shot. Right. I don't know if you guys remember that series that year with the Brooklyn Nets, but that's kind of what it reminded me of. So I think the Ravens are generally going to be fine, but the Bengals, I think, is just more surprising to me because I didn't expect the dysfunction that we've seen, and Tyler pointed this out the other night too. Jamar Chase last week against the Chiefs, he's a great football player, but we've never seen him lose his cool like this. There was a missed face mask call, and he's screaming and yelling, and he's going over to the refs, and he gets him another 15-yard penalty, and Joe Burrow's literally in his face trying to get him to calm down. He's still throwing fit on the sideline, man. So, these aren't good things that you want to have lingering around your football team. So I think Cincinnati Bengals are probably most concerning to me. But on the 2-0 side, I will probably have to pick the Saints as well, just because I kind of had it between the Bucs and the Falcons, but it might be the Saints being the favorites. And, that's going to be a tough challenge for the Eagles coming up. But that's what I think about that. Without further ado, let's do some Gauntlet Grinders, guys. Start the show speaking about the top performing players from last week. And how can we ignore Alvin Kamara with 4 touchdowns, a career high for him against the Dallas Cowboys? He definitely has to get the shout out from me. So Alvin Kamara is my Gauntlet Grinder. Dom, who's your Gauntlet Grinder or Grinders for the week?
For the NFC, I'm glad that you said Kamara, but I'm looking here. So far, I mean, I know it's only 2 weeks into the season, but this has been the best 2 weeks of watching teams run the football that I can remember in my adult life. Josh Jacobs had 151 yards. Brian Robinson had 133 on 17 carries. J.K. Dobbins had 131 on 17 carries. James Conner had 122. So I'm going 4-headed monster of those others that you didn't name. Although I guess 3 of them are from the NFC, one's AFC. But yeah, AFC, I would go J.K. Dobbins or current leading wide receiver in the NFL, and I know a big favorite of my favorite. I can't talk. My friend Denzel, University of Michigan wide receiver Nico Collins.
Nico!
Listen, man, I got to say this about the running backs, just from the performances we've seen this season. Saquon Barkley, the first game against Green Bay, 3 touchdowns. Yeah, Kamara with 4, James Cook with 3. So these running backs are really coming to play. Denzel, who you got for your Gauntlet Grinders for this week?
I saw this coming with the Chargers. Everywhere Jim Harbaugh goes, he makes that team better. Stanford was a Pac-10 afterthought, then he got there. And developed Andrew Luck. But then you look at his theme. It's always heavy on the defense, heavy on the run game. He went to San Francisco, heavy run game, heavy defense. It got him to a Super Bowl. Then he went to Michigan. Heavy on the run game, heavy on the defense. It won him a national title. And now he is in L.A. at the Chargers doing the same thing. I have yet to see Justin Herbert do very much to win a game. This is amazing. But in the AFC, I'm going to actually go with running back James Cook. 11 carries, 78 yards, but scored twice. He averaged 7.1 yards per carry in a win versus Miami, 31-10.
He scored 3 touchdowns in that game, not 2.
It was 2. I read 2.
He had 2
Yeah, he
rushing,
scored
1
3.
receiving, didn't he?
It was 1 receiving. My bad. He
Yeah,
did.
I was gonna say he scored 3.
Yeah, he did. He did score 3. He scored 3 times. But yeah, James Cook was just an absolute monster. He put up 21 of the 31 points that the Bills already. He was the team MVP that day. So I got James Cook, and then on the NFC side, I've actually got a NFC. So and both of them from the Commanders. So shout out to JD5 for getting his first career win. He went 23 of 29, 226 yards, didn't throw a pick. 99.1 passer rating, and in his first win, he led a game-winning drive. Now his NFC Gauntlet grinder, his kicker Austin Seibert, 7 for 7 from field goal range, scored every single point for the Washington Commanders. So hats off to those two.
And they won the game too.
And they won the game, absolutely.
Last thing before we move on,
Juggernaut.
Last thing
New York Giants.
Before we move on, I don't know if you guys got to watch the game from last night, but I gotta say I think Aaron Rodgers looked really, really good. So if Aaron Rodgers plays at this level, I think the New York Jets can really be a dangerous team. Their defense is good. Aaron plays like this, it's going to be a problem. But where do you guys stand with Aaron and his performance last night? And you guys think the Jets are really a serious team?
You know what? Everyone has been talking, okay, it's Bills, Dolphins. But Aaron Rodgers has heard that talk. He said, hey, y'all forgot. I'm the 4-time most valuable player, and I don't think that I've slipped up one bit.
Yeah,
if Aaron keeps playing like this and then Gang Green's defense plays the way they do, and Breece Hall was getting it in last night too.
That touchdown pass that he threw to Garrett Wilson, that's a vintage Aaron Rodgers
that was a dot.
type of pass.
That
was a vintage moment.
Yes, it was. Yes, that was an absolute laser. But the Jets are going to be a problem in the NFC East. Not worried. Well, obviously they already beat New England. Beat Miami and Buffalo. I think if they can go 4-2 in the division, they got a chance.
I would agree with that. I don't think. Well, now that Miami's dead in the water, they have a better chance. I'm not super impressed with that win last night. Turns out the Patriots are, in fact, who we thought they were. I don't know what 22 or so players possess the bodies of their starting 22, but they beat a team that hasn't won a game. Still, this is not the Aaron Rodgers that we remembered. There's moments, and it's funny because the first thing that you said about Rodgers was old Rodgers and MVP, and that was the thing he said in the offseason. He did not say a motherfucking word about a Super Bowl. He said, I still think I can play at an MVP level. He said, I think I can win an MVP. Why is that what you're concerned about? Because that's what he cares about. MVPs and completion percentage and touchdown to interception ratio. He has led the league by far, for like 5 years running in throwaways. Because he's more concerned about his fucking completion percentage and his passer rating and his touchdown to interception ratio. It looks real nice on paper. 27 to 35, what's that, like 75%? 2 TDs, no picks. Bravo, Aaron. You beat a sorry-ass Patriots team, just like you were supposed to.
Hold on one second. Before we continue, I just want to point something out real quick. Because he said that Aaron Rodgers is a stat head. So this is his career TD interception. You ready? 480 touchdowns to only 106 picks in 20 years. I would say that's less selfish ball and more smart ball. He barely crossed 100 interceptions. Barely.
I've said it before that he's the most talented quarterback I had ever seen until Patrick Mahomes. And at this point, I would still say Aaron's better because he's got the longer resume. Patrick Mahomes has already got 3 rings. And he's not a douchebag yet.
No, just his brother is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, more than makes up for it. I wouldn't be surprised if that's an industry plan. Like, hey, bro, can you just go be a total hand job and make me look better? That way, if I ever do anything bad, I can be like, no, it was my brother. Or look at all this bad shit he did. Because I know he's getting annoyed with his wife.
Yo, James, we rolling away.
Ladies and gentlemen, it wouldn't be unexpected to see Dom hating on Aaron Rodgers. When we get back, Sports Moron of the Week.
I don't hate him. I just
fucking
hate that he's so good. But now he's not in my division anymore, so I don't care.
He's 40 years old, bro. Leave him alone. Sports Moron of the Week, the time of the show where we talk about the dumbest takes and the dumbest moments and things that we've seen in sports of the last 7 days. Okay, kicking it off, I'm going to start with, I saw earlier this week that Woj is retiring, the famous NBA insider, been with ESPN for such a long time. He's retiring to become a GM of some team. So there was actually a guy on social media that trolled everyone and said that basically he's taking over for Woj's job. And within a few hours, the guy got thousands of followers. So Sports Warren really goes out to the people that are so dumb on social media and they listen to whatever people post. If it has a check mark, which by the way, you get a subscription now on Twitter and Instagram where you can get a check mark, put your name. You have that. Everyone just believes every word that you put out there. So that's why my Sports Moron is just the ignorance of all the people on the internet and social media.
I didn't have one, but Dom?
Just came up with this one kind of on the fly. Although I'd like to say my search engine moron of the week goes to Bing for telling me that Frank Reich is still the head coach of the Panthers. Because I type it in, and sometimes on my computer, if I'm not already on Google, it goes to a Bing search. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not it. It's Dave, how do you know? I don't know how to say his last name. Canales? Supposed to be a quarterback whisperer, right?
Yeah.
My sports moron is him, because we all know my feelings on Bryce Young. I think he's probably a bust. He's no great shakes. But 18 games into his career, they're probably giving up on him. And I don't think it was entirely his decision. I'm sure what I now consider to be the worst owner in the entire Billionaire Boys Club, also known as, the NFL Owners Box, Dave Tepper, I think he got in his ear and was like, hey, I need you to sit Bryce Young down. We're going to go with Andy Dalton. What's the best possible outcome for this?
Bryce Young gets traded. And we're going to we might as well just move on to the next topic, which is Bryce Young. So since you posed the question, Bryce Young is in an impossible situation. And I know how much Denzel loves CJ Stroud, but if you put CJ Stroud on this team, do you really think you would get a better result? Based on what we've seen from all the quarterbacks that's played there, Baker Mayfield was struggling, leaves, now he's thriving. Sam Darnold, thriving. So it's an organizational problem. It's not a Bryce Young problem. You can't put everything on this guy after only playing basically one season and struggling for a couple games. There's no team around him. There's no receivers. There's no offensive line. There's no running game. There's no identity. There's nothing there for him. And the results of the other quarterbacks that have played there and what they're doing now is just further proof that there is an organizational problem with the Panthers. So I think the best thing to happen for Bryce Young is for him to get traded, and wherever he ends up, coaches work with him and build a team around him, and he can probably put something together. I think a good place for him would be the Los Angeles Rams, since you got Stafford that's probably going to be playing his last couple of years now. Worst case scenario, he goes there for a year, sits on the bench. You got a coach like Sean McVay. There's nobody better to work with as an offense than Sean McVay. So I think that would be a great situation for him. And I don't think all the problems the Carolina Panthers have right now are going to be resolved by benching Bryce Young and moving on to Andy Dalton. That's my take.
As much as people have been critical on Caleb Williams, and especially after watching the Panthers and then watching last game, with the exception of whenever we blitz Caleb Williams, there's one thing Caleb Williams has that Bryce Young doesn't, and that's time to throw. Bryce Young, the way Caleb Williams had been running for his life in the plays that he had, that's Bryce Young just about every play. You're right, he has absolutely nothing there, and I do think that this benching was premature. They have absolutely no clue what they're doing over there. If Stroud was on the Panthers and Bryce Young was in Houston, because of how Stroud turned out to be, I actually will say it's a 50-50 shot, because remember, nobody knew our receivers before Stroud got there, So, and at least the Panthers had Thielen. So I would say with Stroud, it's 50-50. Ultimately, does he replicate the successes last year? Probably not. They probably win 3 more games, but that's it. Because it's just a total dumpster fire up there. Now, Andy Dalton, oh man. Andy Dalton, who also has become kind of the career journeyman ever since he left Cincinnati. I don't expect him to do too much better because there's nothing there. He might get 2 wins out of the deal, but that's about it. At some point, how many times are you going to have a top pick and then you got nothing coming out of it? At some point, when does Tepper sell the team? How many head coaches have come across there since Matt Rule? Hell, even the one before Matt Rule. This is why I don't hold anything on Baker Mayfield. Because Baker Mayfield left Cleveland, he went to the Panthers, he had no business in Carolina. People expected his career to die. He had a short stop with the Rams, and now look at him with the Bucks, and he just got his money. Browns fans are sick right now watching Baker Mayfield, you know? So Mayfield, he never ever should have been a Panther in the first place. We're not even going to count. Like, I look at Baker Mayfield's time in Carolina like I keep Olajuwon's time with the Toronto Raptors. It never happened.
Right. Blink and you missed it?
Exactly. Go ahead, Tom.
Well, first of all, you put some respect on that man's name. That is 2-time Pro Bowler Andrew Gregory Dalton, affectionately referred to as the beige water pistol. Here's my thing. Okay, so you sat Bryce Young down. They don't know if they're done with him, if they're just going to let him cool off, try to learn. There's a thing or two he can learn from Andy Dalton, such as not changing your hairstyle for your entire NFL career. But what happens this week when Max Crosby or Christian Wilkins gets their 7th sack of the first quarter on Dalton? He dies on the field, and guess what? They don't have a QB3. So as soon as Dalton gets hurt, even if he just has to come out for a play or a series, you're right looking back to Bryce Young. And honestly, I feel sorry for the dude. Do I think it's all on him? Absolutely not. This is the clown car of all organizations in the NFL. They make the Arizona Cardinals look good. It's kind of sad. Do I see him like you were saying before, shoe on the other foot? If you put C.J. Stroud in Carolina and Bryce Young in Houston, would it be the same thing? Similarly, I think C.J. Stroud is a much better quarterback. He's already better right now, and he's got a higher ceiling.
I think C.J. is better. I think C.J. is also a better quarterback, but you have seen multiple quarterbacks fail in the same situation repeatedly. Bryce is not the only one. So C.J., I think, would also fail.
He would.
I do.
Yeah.
And then we would be having a conversation, is Carolina being fair to CJ?
Quarterback Jesus, and I'm not talking about Charlie Whitehurst. Jesus playing quarterback could not will this team to a win in Carolina right now. God forbid on the road. It's a sad story, and I have some friends that are Panthers fans, and my heart goes out to them. Shout out to Mark Barron.
At this point, they literally are... I mean, at this point, they could call Cam Newton off the couch, and I don't even know if he can do it, but he might even get him a win or two. Him.
I'm pretty sure he would answer the phone on FaceTime like these. Actually, he might come back. I mean, I don't think he actually would at this point, but I bet if they called him, he would at least consider it.
It doesn't matter who you put behind the center. You can put Patrick Mahomes behind the center of this team, and you would still have a lot of problems. 100%. There needs to be continuity. There needs to be identity. There needs to be we do this on offense. We like to run the ball. Not that they're
only
we like to control the clock. We like to rely on our offensive line. This is what good teams are doing in the league right now. They have their identity, and they know what it is, and they stick to it, and that's how they have a lot of success. Carolina does not have that. So until you have that and build that structure in your team, you're going to continue to lose, and you're going to continue to fail.
They already pretty much signed Bryce Young's death warrant before they even drafted him, and I said this when it happened. What in the holy hell are you doing with the intention of drafting a franchise quarterback, and in that same trade, you trade away his only legitimate wide receiver? Why would you do that?
DJ Moore is a good player.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
He just had his best season last year.
Yeah.
And we didn't even touch on the fact that his confidence just took a severe hit by doing this. He's the number one, so he's already got the pressures of having to live up to being the number one overall pick. And then by this happening, his confidence is going to take a huge hit from this. I don't know how someone comes back from that. And not to mention, hold on,
he needs a new team. We've seen it so many times when guys went to a new team.
He's Sam Darnold 2.0 right now.
We thought Baker lost his confidence.
Yeah.
We thought Baker did when he was in Carolina, when he was with the Rams. And then he went to Tampa, and everyone was like, he's probably not going to do that much. But you saw what he did and what he continues to do.
The smart Cleveland fans knew.
I really think I really don't think the story is finished on Bryce Young. Not at all.
If Bryce Young gets traded to another team and has success, and the Panthers still are what they are, I just might draft up a damn petition to have the UFL Birmingham Stallions get promoted to the NFL
Relegation.
and demote the Carolina Panthers to the UFL.
Let's do
it.
Might draft that up. Really don't think it's a bad idea.
That's why I always tell you guys I love relegation, because I love watching soccer.
Dude,
that's how they do it over there, man.
Years.
The best.
He's great in college football too.
Yeah.
It's the absolute best.
Yeah, this is it's bad. Bryce Young, I mean, I would tell him to do his best to keep his head up and such. And you know what? Maybe he might be looking to shop for another home in another year. We just might see in the middle of next season Bryce Young demands trade.
If I keep your head up, keep your head above water in the kiddie pool because he's so goddamn short.
If the team is treating him like this and they're acting like they don't want him there, and the coach doesn't want him there, the owner kind of doesn't want him there, but the owner is the one that put him in a situation, put him in a position to fail. So you kind of got to really question David Tepper and his competence as an owner running an NFL team. If you don't have confidence in this guy, then what are you really doing?
The same dude that threw a drink in the man's face. Oh yeah, you can't take him serious.
Like I just feel like the team for him to go to is the Rams. I feel like it's the best position for him to go. Sean McVay, guy's a genius, offensive-minded coach. He knows how to get the best out of players. And they have Stafford, who's old, and he's probably not going to play much longer. Even if he retired after the season, I would not be surprised at all.
Oh, no, Matt Stafford's going to Tom Brady and play until he's 45.
If I had to give a landing spot for Bryce Young in a trade, I think the Rams is the best place for him to go.
The Rams does sound like a good idea. After all, McVay did develop golf, and they did go to a Super Bowl. So it actually is not a bad look.
Wow.
But if not the Rams, where else?
If you guys had to pick another
horrible
team
things that
for Bryce Young, what team do you see him going to? You had to pick another team. Think about teams that needs a quarterback.
Raiders,
quarterback
maybe.
is kind of older.
Raiders, maybe, just because they don't really have one.
Yep.
Gino, I don't know how much longer he'll be in Seattle. This year is kind of his make or break year. There's a lot of places.
What about Giants?
Giants?
What about you? You cut bait with DJ and start fresh with Bryce Young.
Right. And then Carolina can draft Shedeur Sanders and ruin him too. Although I feel like Deion might work his magic unless he takes that FSU job. I think he's going to demand.
I'm not very high on
as the head coach. He's just going to be like, I'll tell my team, or I'll tell my son to not. You're not going there unless I'm going to be the head coach. So we
I haven't seen enough from Shedeur Sanders to be like, yes, this guy should be making demands.
Me neither.
Kind of like with Deion Sanders saying, "Oh well, I'm only going to let my son play for certain teams." Your son has to be good enough to warrant that. But what I've seen from him for the last couple years at Colorado, he's not that good.
It's a weak draft year.
As of right now,
did Jared Goff really warrant being a number one overall pick?
Now hold on, let's be fair, because we were criticizing Caleb Williams for making demands. If Shedeur Sanders is making demands, he's not half as good as Caleb Williams was in college.
Certainly
Let's be real.
Yeah,
the guy was a Heisman winner.
Weak draft year.
If, as of right now, where would you see Shedeur going in the draft, if he's even drafted?
That would have to be whoever has a top pick and needs a quarterback. I can't really answer this question right now because I don't know who's
all the teams we just mentioned, because they'll all be bad. Carolina, Giants.
No,
Raiders.
I said where would he go in the draft? Like first round, second round, third.
I mean, he's
fourth,
probably
fifth.
going to still go in the first round because of
Go
his
in the
name,
first
but
round. This is the nepotism era.
when I see him play, I don't see a
professional sports
franchise
drafting.
quarterback. When I see him play, I don't see a franchise quarterback.
But you still see him in
LeBron
the
James'
first round.
special ed son got drafted in the second round. You don't think Deion can get Shedeur into the first round?
That's not what the question was asked. The question was, do you really think he can be a franchise quarterback? The obvious answer is no. He's not.
I haven't seen enough yet. Not nearly enough.
I think we're on the same page with
that.
that.
On FCS schools, barely beat Colorado State, get his doors blown off by real NFL or NCAA programs.
So I was talking to my mom about this, and she actually really loves Travis Hunter. She actually thinks Shedeur Sanders should have stayed at Jackson State. She thinks the competition in the FBS is too much for Shedeur.
Here's what I could really see happening, perhaps. Florida State's probably going to fire their head coach. They need a quarterback. Maybe Shedeur and Deion go to FSU for a year. I think it's a much better idea for both of them.
I don't think they're going to fire their coach.
I don't know.
I mean, they were just almost in the playoffs. Their quarterback got hurt that season.
They
that was
haven't won a game.
That was
You're
like
telling me if they go 5-7,
they'll
fire
win
him?
some games. They'll win some games. This will be a down year, but they're probably not going to fire the coach.
Dom, hang on a second. They went.
They will if it means they can hire Deion.
Dom, hang on. They went.
Deion's not that good of a coach either.
They went 4-8 in the Pac-12, and they're in the Big 12. Now you want to stick Shedeur in the tougher ACC?
I'm not saying
Now, hold
it'll
on,
work
Dom.
out good.
Let
I'm
me
just
ask you a
saying
Let me
it's
ask
a
you a
very
question.
likely possibility.
Since you brought it up about Deion, well, teams will drop what they have to hire Deion Sanders. What has Deion done and accomplished that as a coach, not as a player, not because of his name, what has he accomplished as a coach?
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Okay. So then why did you say teams should drop what they have to hire him?
I'm not saying they should. I'm just saying they might. That's the job he's been angling for since he went to Jackson State. He said that much. That's the job that he wants, and he's certainly not ready for the NFL.
He's not qualified for it.
I don't disagree with you whatsoever. I'm just saying that's what he wants, and it's
okay.
It's a headline. It's I like the conspiracy theories.
My problem is just that when we've seen Deion Sanders go up against top competition, I'm pretty sure we talked about this on the show already before, but when we've seen him against the top competition,
he gets jail sex.
He gets destroyed. He gets destroyed against his competition, even though he talks a lot and he tries to hype the team up and hype himself up and we're this and that. And then you go against Oregon and you lose by like 50 points. So until you can actually show that you can compete on a higher level, then I have no reason to think that you're a top-tier coach. You're a top-tier name, you're not a top-tier coach.
Right now, Deion Sanders is the NCAA football college head coach equivalent of a fat chick in an outfit that she had to butter herself up on and jump off a second-story roof to fit into, and she's going to the club, and ain't nobody telling her shit. Girl, I look good. That's Deion Sanders. He still thinks they're a national title contender. He thinks his son's a Heisman candidate. You can't tell Deion shit right now. Colorado's not going to fire him.
No, obviously not.
He's brought all that exposure to their program, and that's really all they wanted.
No, but that was a pretty good analogy, Don. I kind of should have saw that coming.
No.
Anything else you guys want to talk about? Because we have about 25 minutes left in the show. We can either start a non-sports topic or there's some more stuff you guys want to discuss. We can do that.
You can go to non-sports because I think we can take up 20 minutes with this next one.
Oh, man.
All right. So I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to the news, but Sean Combs, as he's called, also known as P. Diddy,
also known as Love,
is being charged with sex trafficking, and there's no bail for him in this case.
Yeah, host of other
It's
crimes.
been a whole saga that's been going on with him. They found over 1,000 bottles of lube in his house. it just kind of shows that he's disgusting as a human being. He's got problems, and a lot of the things that allegations and people speaking out against him, it kind of makes you think that it's all true based off of everything that's kind of come out over the last few days. And he assaulted his girlfriend. There's video footage of it as well after he had called her a liar. And prior to that, he didn't really speak too much on any of the allegations that were coming out. But then he started acting all remorseful and all this. So there's a lot of red flags for it, in my opinion. So it will definitely continue to look over this case and what's going to happen next. It probably could be even up to a year before he goes to the trial, because they still have to work so many things out. So I don't know. I think that when you look at it from all angles, you can't really feel sorry for him. He's done it to himself. He's put himself in weird situations, treating women the way that you're not supposed to treat a woman, and just doing a lot of weird things, man. So, my opinion, the guy deserves everything that's coming to him.
Sing it with me, Dom. 1,000 bottles of baby oil on the wall. 1,000 bottles of baby oil. You take one down, you pet. Too soon? Listen, that was bananas. Okay, he single-handedly shut down Johnson & Johnson. Like, how do you? Imagine being the cop, like searching for like evidence, like during the raid or whatever, when they go and pick him up, and finding that, like, yeah, you need to come look at this, and then you count everybody. Man, that is. But you know what? This is the big thing, though. Aside from all the stuff that he did. Because I actually put on a TikTok comment, I said, man, half the rap game about to disappear. Because y'all know about that list, right?
Yeah, I was reading about the list earlier.
Like
Jay-Z was on there.
With the steroids.
Let me tell you something.
There's some big names on that list.
Anyone you done listened to in the last 10 to 15 years is just about on that list. And they will be calling them up, too. So, you're right. And it actually might be, you know what, come to think of it, it might be 2 or 3 years before the actual trial, because there's just so much they got to get to. But oh yeah, I absolutely agree. It's over with for him. They denied him $50 million bail. There actually was pre-stipulations that he offered, that he would have cameras in his house, that he would only leave his house on business, he'd have no females in his house outside of relatives. $50 million bail. They still said, nope, you stay here. Anytime you offer $50 million bail and they turn you down, they think you're a flight risk. I would bet money on it. That is why if you let Diddy near a plane right now, you're not going to hear from him again. You ain't going to hear from him again. And they said, nope, you are staying behind bars. P. Diddy has seen his last day of freedom. The day before they came and got him, he saw his last day of freedom, unless witnesses suddenly magically disappear. I don't know, okay? But they're getting him just like they got R. Kelly. Let me tell everybody something here, okay? Because they had a lot of questions regarding, like the raid with the house in Miami and the house in Los Angeles and everything. This is not a city case. This is not a state case, okay? I was talking to my mom about this just last night. When the feds are after you, then the Department of Homeland Security, they built a case on you for years. They watch you for years, because when they nail you, they're gonna nail you to a tree and make an example out of you.
It's like a RICO case with the mafia.
Basically, you see racketeering down there, So, with that being said, they had waited for years with this, and the stuff with Cassie and all that. My heart goes out to her and everything. That hotel also should be looked at as well, because Diddy paid $50,000 for that footage. So that hotel should be looked at also.
I believe RICO is part of the charges, because they're pretty much trying to say, like with the sex trafficking, him and his entourage and his various businesses, that was a criminal enterprise for the means to sex traffic.
Yeah. Well, the textbook definition of racketeering is when you have a business, but your main source of income is illegal activity. That's why they call your legit business a front company. So, yeah, that's textbook racketeering right there. I think they are going full Rico with this, but oh yeah, it's a done deal. I am just wondering who he's going to rat on if he rats. But even without that, they got access to everything. They got Diddy really loved to film himself and film it, and the feds got all of that, so they will be watching those tapes. And they're going to be contacting some entertainers here very shortly. That's why I said half the rap game about to disappear. But Dom, what you got?
Oh man, what a mess. When you've got someone like Diddy, who I believe for most of his career, like on scale of 1 to 10 as a rapper, producer, whatever, like he was more of a mogul than anything else. But it's like when you've got that kind of money, I mean, this goes for any celebrity. When you got that kind of money and that kind of free time, it's not like he's sitting there in the studio every day making fire ass beats, or just, off somewhere on a secluded island or in a studio somewhere, spitting hot fire for his next album. He's never really, his main focus has never been music. Not really. He ran Bad Boy for a while. He rode the coattails of Biggie till he died. Then he drops an album and it goes multi-times platinum. And I'm pretty sure the one after that did as well. But it's like I said,
I've never been a fan of Diddy's music. Like,
everybody was jamming that first album, but I mean, it wasn't
not really
like, oh shit, you hear that shit Diddy
I'm
just
like,
said?
bro, like, I've never heard a Diddy song where I'm like, yo, bro, turn that shit up or like play it again. Right. Never in my life.
Or it wasn't for his verse. That's for
the only real song I know is the song he did with Skylar Grey. I'm coming home, tell the world I'm coming. That's the only song I really know.
It's not really a jam neither, so
right.
Yeah,
I think she carried the song more than him, to be honest.
She did.
It's like I said, all that money and all that free time. At least now we know what he's been doing in his free time, and it ain't been none good. I feel sorry for all the people, all the women, God knows, men, women, children, dogs, cats, you name it. All of the mammals on the planet that he has, mistreated, abused, and God knows how much, when the nitty-gritty details come out, like, what we know is bad enough.
It'll be pretty horrifying.
Well, when they get down to it, and, the number of counts and all the witnesses coming forward, like, it's just sickening. But, I've been saying since Biggie died, I'm looking up at the sky like, here, take Puffy. Just give us Biggie back. And my stance hasn't changed. And that was before we knew all these things. Now, not only is he, a glory hog and a coattail rider, he's a disgusting human being on top of it.
Yeah. And then on top of that, you got Keefe D, who is well, he's being held for pre-trial, obviously, for the death of Tupac Shakur, and he's telling everyone, Diddy paid me to do it.
Right. So add that to the litany of charges, the Dead Sea Scrolls, if you will.
And Grizz said in the comments that he thinks that Diddy was responsible for Biggie. Biggie wanted his Suburban armored because he suspected an attempt on his life, and Diddy told him not to do it. Diddy killed him.
The night that Biggie died, Biggie actually was supposed to leave the award show and fly to England to get more exposure. Diddy got pissed off and called Clive Davis and told him cancel it because he wanted Biggie at that party. And it was so suspicious that he wanted Biggie at that party. Y'all, and that's the reason why he held on to Biggie's masters like that. Puff Daddy has made way more money. I know it's been 20-something years ago, but the fact remains, he knows he could stand to make, and he did, way more money with Biggie dead than alive. Not to mention, Biggie wanted to leave Bad Boy Records, and he was going to take half the staff with him.
Yeah, that's sickening because that's supposed to be your best friend.
Exactly. So, but yeah, and with all of this, because I really don't see
the picture of him with that mohawk and another charge for that.
Oh yeah, that was pretty ridiculous. that was pretty ridiculous. But But as far as this goes, I mean, I'm not expecting the trial to begin in 6 months or anything like that. It very well may be. I expect a few years. Because they got to process everything. They got to go through every bit of evidence. And
I don't think we're going to see a trial.
yeah. And you also have to keep in mind you're taking down a billionaire, which
I don't understand what the trial is for. Because based on what we have seen, what evidence can be brought that would help Diddy's case? I don't see anything.
Simple answer to that question, what the trial is for, Diddy pled not guilty. It has to go to trial.
There's
know,
still
it's
plenty
them.
of time for a plea deal. At this point, him talking
His
to his
lawyer
lawyers,
has
if
his
he
work
can
cut
cop
out
a
for
plea
him.
and do 25 years, take it. He's not that old. How old's Diddy? 50? 45?
Diddy
50?
is in his early 50s, yeah.
I would take the 25 years. And cover my butthole in prison.
I don't
He'll
think
probably die in prison, but
Some
no,
people were
he ain't
saying that
he ain't never seen no goddamn Gen Pop. He's in a
they
building
put
by
Diddy in
himself
a
right now.
they put him in like in a solitary
Yeah,
area.
he's in his own
within the
building.
prison.
It's not a separate cell, it's a separate building.
So they're trying to put him away from the other prisoners because they were saying they're worried he's going to be a target.
Because he get got.
Because people in the prison, in their gangs or whatever, would get more cred
That's
if they
hella
beat
stripes.
Diddy's ass, basically.
you know, a lot of those inmates.
If I was in prison in New York doing life, I'd be the first motherfucker to shank Diddy. Point him out.
And keep in mind, some of those inmates in there, they grew up listening to Tupac. You think they didn't talk about the same thing? Oh yeah,
Like, he will
you
never
have to
see.
put him in solitary.
He will never see 1 second of Gen Pop in prison. He'll probably never see another inmate the rest of his life, even if he's there for the rest of his life.
Yeah, it's but with Diddy, man, it's and I know everybody's been kind of waiting for this. It was a matter of time. I knew it was coming too, because all of a sudden a year ago, I don't know if y'all know this, but y'all know he was withholding masters from any artist that was signed by him and everything. Him and the Lox had this ugly knockdown, drag out fight on Hot 97 back in 05 behind it. But all of a sudden, out of nowhere, last year, he released the masters of anyone who ever been signed to him. And then he dropped that R&B album. And I was like, Diddy knows something about to happen. He knows it's coming down. Before the arrest, he had been spending a lot, and I mean a lot of time with his kids. A lot of time. And I was like, Diddy knows his time's up. He knows his time's up. The only way that Diddy could get a deal out of this is if he gives up someone bigger than him. If he gives up someone bigger than him, they might cut him a deal. And even just off his reputation alone, they might be like, no deal.
Who could be above him in this sex trafficking Ponzi scheme? It's going to be something mind-blowing.
You know what? I mean, there ain't that many black billionaires in the world. There's somebody above him, and that's my other point too. This is why they have to look at every single bit of evidence, because Diddy wasn't, somebody off the street working for $15 an hour. It's pretty hard to take down a billionaire. It's pretty hard. Yeah. We go off what we talk about, right? We go off what we talk about. But we haven't been to law school or anything like that, you know what I mean? They have to make sure every single duck in the road, because if they fumble this case, heads are going to roll and law licenses might get taken.
Oh, for sure.
All right, what else we got?
So I guess on that note, that's the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys all for tuning in again. We'll be back next Friday. Talk more stuff. Really appreciate the viewership. Part of the Sideline Sports Network. Make sure you guys tune into the other shows throughout the rest of the week. You guys got anything before we get out of here?
Actually, I had one more thing. Let me draw it up real fast. I have one more thing.
Y2 Spider Banana?
No, not quite. No, not that.
You were drawing it up.
Y2
Spider 2 Y Banana.
Oh, whatever.
Is it Spider 2? Oh yeah, it's Spider 2. Okay.
It is Spider 2 Y Banana.
Okay. So on September the 24th, and I'm here on the innocenceproject.org. So the execution of Marcellus Williams is set to go down. However, there has been DNA evidence that would exonerate him for he was convicted for the murder of a woman in 1998. But there was evidence that basically said that he didn't do it. It would exonerate him. But the judge did not allow it. So if you go on innocenceproject.org and search for it, there's actually a petition going around. It currently has 403,940 signatures. So if you sign it, someone takes a look at it in time, and maybe, just maybe, they'll have a stay of execution, and then they can take a look at the evidence again. Also, the judge, you can go on YouTube and type in Fox St. Louis, Marcellus Williams, and it'll come up everything. That judge needs to be recalled. Absolutely, because how do you not allow this? They're about to execute an innocent man. So if you go on innocenceproject.org, Marcellus Williams, and sign a petition, it just may be able to help him out. He's set to be executed on September 24th. That's right around the corner, obviously. So 4 days. So get there, sign it, and hopefully it can make a difference.
Everybody go sign that petition ASAP, and we will see you guys on the next episode.
Gauntlet out.